everybody. Welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. I am your host, Rebecca. I recap live trials so you have something to listen to while you're working on those projects out there. Crochet, diamond painting, watercolor painting, loom knitting, whatever it is you're doing, quilting, something to listen to while you do that. And if you're out on the go, you can listen to this as a podcast on YouTube Music. I'm looking at Stitch. He's just sitting in the doorway. I've got the door open. I turned the air off, got the door open. It's a beautiful day outside. And Stitch is just sitting in the doorway, thinking about his life's choices. He's the most adorable cat. Oh my God. I have two. Pearl, completely different personalities. It's amazing. I love them. I love them both. Two cats, two dogs. Mm-hmm. Tootsie and Duncan are the dogs, and the cats are Stitch and Pearl, a knitting reference, if you will. So yesterday, I'm still monitoring the Maya Kowalski case versus Johns Hopkins Hospital, which I hope is winding down. This is week number 4. I put it on this morning, and they're arguing over evidence. They're whatever. So, can we go into this? Can we go? I'm over that trial. I don't know how that. As a lawyer, I never had a trial that lasted that long. I don't know how I do it. Just a trial that lasted, a week would exhaust you, but a month, I'd be in the mental hospital. Yeah. Anyway, so this week I'm kind of featuring the Charles Adelson case because the state has already rested their case already. But I'm going to talk about how they wrapped it up yesterday with the wiretap. We're going to talk about the wiretap. And today, Charles Adelson is on the stand. Now, I contemplated, do I go live with this and let you see it live? If that's something you would like, let me know. But I kind of think my audience, I know my audience, I think you guys like for me to just recap, maybe show you some clips. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do because I need time to listen to it really thoroughly and digest it myself. So I think that's how I'm going to handle it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Some people think I would do better as a channel if I went live with instead of recording these shows every day. I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts? In any case, so Charles Adelson is Charlie. Charlie is on trial for the murder of his brother-in-law. His sister Wendy was married to Dan Markell, the FSU law professor, who was murdered in his vehicle in his driveway on Trescott Lane in Tallahassee, Florida, in July of 2014. And it was 2 hitmen that murdered him. So it is alleged that Charlie was dating a woman named Catherine Magbanua, who had a relationship with the hitman, Sigfredo Garcia. He was the father of her children. And Charlie hired Catherine. Catherine hired her baby daddy, Sigfredo, who hired Luis Rivera to go along with him. Now, all 3 of those people are in prison. Catherine, Sigfredo, and Luis. Now, Charles is on trial for his part in this. The person that's not on trial is Donna Adelson or Wendy Adelson. I think that's something that we'll see in the future. And yes, I'm going to go get a haircut one of these days because I can't do anything with it. It just wants to like whoosh, frizz. Like I look like a wicked witch with my hair down. Anyway, so there's multiple phone calls that happened after the bump. Yesterday I talked about the bump. If you want to hear what the bump is or see what the bump is, because I actually show you video footage of it, go watch that and then come back, or save it to watch later. But all these phone calls happen after the bump. Now they got a wiretap from the judge, or they had gotten an order for a wiretap from the judge, and they were finding that a lot of actually through their investigation of the cell phone records of all these suspects, they found that the calls often went from Donna to Charlie, Charlie to Catherine, Catherine to Sigfredo. And and then back the other way. So they decided to do this bump to start some chatter about the murder because it had been 2 years while they were conducting their investigation, and they wanted to get these people talking again. And boy, were they talking. I ordered a new notebook, by the way. Okay, so the first one, this is the day after the bump. Um, Now he's talked to his mom several times the day of the bump, and he talked to Catherine McBanoa the day of the bump, and that was on the 25th of April, I believe, or the 21st, 21st of April. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the meeting at Dolce Vita that night, the night of the bump. Or was it the day after? Okay, no, it was the day after the bump because Charlie agreed to have dinner with Catherine or meet Catherine because he wanted to talk to her. So they met at this sandwich restaurant near where she worked, late afternoon. Anyway, it was recorded. There were police, undercover agents in this restaurant because they had agreed ahead of time to meet there, so they could set up this whole thing ahead of time, and they did, and they could hear what was being said, kind of, sort of. They had to hire an expert later on after the arrest of everybody. They had to hire an expert to decipher what was being said because there was so much noise going on this video. So I kind of piecemealed some stuff that I thought was significant that I heard when I was watching this, and they had a transcript running next to, so you could kind of check what you heard against what the transcript said, and yeah, so, or if you didn't think you heard it correctly or you didn't hear it, there was the transcript. So he was saying he was going to say my brother. I'm going to say my brother did it. So there is another brother. It's not just Charles and Wendy. Donna Adelson had 3 children. The older brother, I believe he's a doctor. They didn't like his choice of wife. They didn't approve of the person that he married. So he married her anyway, and doesn't have anything to do with his family now. So he's like erased from this family. They don't even talk about him. Now, one of the things that Charles says during this conversation is that he's telling Catherine, and he's doing all the talking, most of the talking. Most of what she says, you could not, it just says inaudible on the transcripts. You don't know what she's saying. But because her voice is low, he is a talker. I can just imagine he's one of those dentists where you're in the chair, you can't talk, your mouth is like, and he's just talking away, and you're like, want to stab yourself in the eye because he won't shut up. One of those kind of dentists. Um, so he tells Catherine, in order to prove it, they don't actually say what they're talking about, but in order to prove it, they have to put you at the scene. Wrong. You can be held liable for the murder if you conspired to commit the murder. Yes. Yes. You don't have to be put at the scene. But he's telling her this, and she's buying into it. Don't worry, you weren't at the scene. We didn't do anything wrong. We weren't there. We just planned the whole thing. Okay. So he describes to Catherine exactly what happened during the bump. My mom was on the way to pick up the boys, and, this guy approached her, handed her this piece of paper. He mentions your name, Katie, or ex-girlfriend, whatever. He does mention the word Katie. I don't know. I don't remember if he told her that or not. But anyway, um, he said they talked for a while about, do you think this is the cops? Do you think it's, no, it couldn't be the cops, because they would do it this way, So they couldn't decide about that. Then he finally says, listen, I'm going to give you 10K, and I want you to call this guy. How nice of him. He's the mastermind, but she's got to do the dirty work? What? No, you call him, you bozo. Okay, I'm sorry. So, so this is his. I wrote it down word for word. This is what I want you to do. I want you to call up this person and say that I got a call from some friends of mine who says that you reached out to them and you mentioned my name. These people want to go to the police because they had nothing to do with what you're talking about. Frankly, I don't know what you're talking about, but the name sounds familiar of whose. What did I write down here? Oh, but the name sounds familiar of who's incarcerated. So I'm going to give you something as charity to help the less fortunate, but do not contact these people again or they'll go to the police. And then they talk about how they're afraid that if they actually carry through with that, these people are going to just keep coming back again and again. So they're not sure. They're just not sure what they need to do with this. But that's how they left it at the restaurant. I need you to go make this phone call. He tells her the number, doesn't let her write it down. He just tells her the number. So, of course, later on during the phone calls, you're going to hear that she forgets the number. So, and when he had met with his mom, apparently she had given him that piece of paper that was handed to her by the agent, the one that had the newspaper article and the phone number on it. So he takes that home. So then after this, there's multiple phone calls going back. He has this meeting with Catherine, Katie, and then he calls his mom and he said, "Hey, mom, I had dinner with a friend, or I had coffee with a friend, and I was giving her some relationship advice. I'll let you know how it turns out." Um, and then the following day, about 8 o'clock in the morning, there's a phone call between Catherine and Sigfredo, and they're having an argument about something. Um, and he keeps telling her he'll handle it, and the less she knows, the better. So I think what's going on is she was trying to get him to make the phone call. And then the next phone call, same day, Catherine calls uh, Sigfredo, and she talks about the phone number, but in code. She's like, I that amount of money I told you earlier, I don't know if it was $65.70 or $60.57. I'm gonna have to get back to you because I'm not positive about that. So then later on, Charlie Adelson calls Catherine McBanawa. This is all the same day. And they're talking in real estate code because apparently by now she's working in some kind of real estate office, and uh, everything is like a real estate metaphor. Apparently the renters are the blackmailers, and um, at one point he's actually offering to buy her a trip, but then said it's not a good investment. And then, the tenant was the blackmailer. uh, and Charlie says that you got to be careful when you get into the rental business because those tenants that could come back, and then you got to raise the rent up, something. I don't know. It was a weird conversation. It really was weird. Then the following day, Charlie Adelson has dinner with his father. So just like the Dolce Vita restaurant thing, this is another restaurant that's caught on tape between Charles and his father. And there was no transcript, so I could not make out what they were saying. I still don't know if Daddy Adelson is really involved, but I guess he must be because of this restaurant. But I don't know what they were saying. I really don't. I couldn't make it out. But allegedly, it was about this murder. So then the next day, the 23rd, uh, because there had been no response by the Adelson family to this bump or the letter, the police decide they're going to send a letter to the Adelson family. And the letter starts out with, you don't care, something like that. It starts out with, yeah, you don't care. It's a short little paragraph. we haven't heard from you, blah, blah, blah. So uh, on the 25th, Charles calls Catherine and they agree to meet at another restaurant. But they don't know where they're going to meet. He wanted to meet her at a certain place, and she's like, no, I don't want to go all the way down to South Beach. I'm up here in Broward. And he's like, well, just start heading south, and then I'll start heading north, and we'll meet somewhere. So there wasn't enough time for the police to set up their wiretap in the restaurant that they were going to meet at. So they didn't get that recorded. Then on the 26th, Catherine is on recorded on the phone with Sigfredo Garcia, and she's telling him, I want to talk to you in person about some things. And then right after that, she texts him and she says basically the same thing. I need to talk to you. And he texts her back and said, you need to work that out with your homie. I guess Charles is the homie. And then there's a couple of phone calls between Charlie and his mom again. So Charlie calls his mom because by now she's gotten the letter from the police, the undercover officer, and they're talking about this. You don't care, and he's like, "Mom, how can I care about somebody I never met? He's such a jerk. This guy. I would never go out with somebody like that was this pretentious." Um, and then but it was a very short phone call because he was in the middle of a job, I guess, working on somebody's mouth. So he said, let me call you right back. So he calls back, and then they have this longer discussion about this letter that she got. And he says, it's obviously a girl writing this. And a guy would never say, you don't care. He would never start a letter out with, you don't care. That's a girl writing that. I thought that was funny. And he's like, Mom, you know, stop getting anxious over this. You didn't do anything wrong. He says, let them fish. They're just fishing. Just let them fish. He says, you're getting all worked up, and this is just complete, utter nonsense. Just forget about it, Mom. So then, same day, Catherine calls Charlie Adelson, and she's like, I got mixed up with that phone number. Do you have it? I need it stat. That's the word she used, stat. I need it stat. And he's like, well, I'm at work. I have it at home, and I can get it after work in a couple hours. And he goes, but I might be able to get it from another place. Let me call you back. So he calls his mother, and he says, Mom, you know that piece of paper you gave me, that phone number? Do you have that? And she says, no, I gave you the paper, and then I didn't have anything else to do with it. I didn't write it anywhere. He goes, oh, okay, no worries, thank you. Then he calls Catherine back, and he says, I'm going to have to get it after work. I couldn't get it from the other person, or the other. I couldn't get it. I don't think he mentions his mother. And while they're talking, he realized that somebody points out to him that he's done for the day. I guess he thought he had another case, but he didn't. Maybe it canceled. He's like, "Oh, I don't have any more cases." Okay, then he tells Katie, "Okay, I can have it for you in 30 minutes." So he heads home and he gets her the correct phone number. Yes, there's more. So the 26th, Catherine calls Sigfredo and she gives him the correct phone number. Here's the correct phone number. So she gives it to him. And then on the 27th, Catherine calls Charlie and he talks about, are you going to go away for the weekend? He goes, can you stop by my garage? Use the code to get into my garage. I left you a gift card. It's a gift card where you can use it at any hotel. She's like, oh, okay. I'm not going anywhere this weekend, but okay. This conversation made no sense. Again, they're talking in code. On April 28th, they still have no phone call from anyone to this agent. So they decide they're going to do another bump. So the agent calls the Adelson Institute, the dental practice that where Donna was managing for her husband, the father. And this guy says, I think the lady's name is Erica that answers the phone at the dentist office, and she says she's not available. As he asks for Donna Adelson, she's not available. Is there something I can help you with? And he's like, no. He's like, does she know you? Yeah, she knows me. I ran into her last week. I gave her some paperwork. I want to know what her thoughts are on the paperwork. Can you ever call me back? And she's like, yeah, okay. And so Erica calls Donna and tells her about this phone call. So, of course, Donna calls Charlie, tells him about the phone call. And then Charlie hangs up and immediately calls Catherine, leaves her a voicemail. Oh, no, he calls Catherine. She doesn't answer. Then he calls her again, leaves her a voicemail saying, hey, it's me, call me back. Calls her like 3 more times, doesn't leave another message, but he keeps calling. 2 more unanswered phone calls. Finally, Katie calls him back. And she says, now she's pissed during this phone call. She is like, she's had it. She's using the F word every other sentence, or every other word is the F word coming out of her mouth. Like you would not, like this little innocent Katie Magbanua that's sitting on the witness stand. Oh, woe is me. She is like pissed off on this phone call. You need to find out who the F it is, and it needs to be handled. She goes, I'm tired of this effing code shit. She's not talking in code during this phone call. She is sick of it. She's like, that number is not a working number. And he's like, I'm sure it's the right number. And she's like, it's not a working number. And they go back and forth and back and forth. He's like, I'm telling you, just find out who it is and get this thing resolved. He's put it all on her. And obviously what she has done is put it on Sigfredo. And she's lying to Charlie that she tried to call this number because it was a working number this entire time and nobody called it. So finally Catherine says, hey, have your office person look on the caller ID and get the right number. So Charlie hangs up, he calls the office, talks to Donna and says, his mom, and he says, is there caller ID? You guys have caller ID? She's like, no, it broke. We don't use it anymore. No caller ID. Then he calls back Catherine. He says, no, mom didn't have caller ID at the office. He says, just call the number again. And she's still upset. She says, we're getting set up. We're getting effing set up. She was right. She goes, I'm telling you, it's not a working number. Charlie says, he tells her, you know what, I'm going to call him from the office. So he actually, before he dials the number and he does *67, I guess, so that the person he's calling doesn't see his phone number. He calls that number and he actually has a conversation with the agent.
Someone by the name of Sandy called?
Yeah, that's me, man.
All right, what's going on?
Well, what's going on is my brother Tato. Okay, my brother Tato has not been taken care of. His family's not been taken care of. I talked to the dentist. I said, why are you calling me? Who are you? I gave the number to a lady.
I don't know Tato.
You know Tato?
No.
You know Katie and Tuco? They've been taken care of since family problem was taken care of up north.
I don't know.
I was. You don't? Well, I'm going away, my friend. Because let me tell you something. I was at Broward with Tato, and he told me the whole story. He told me nobody was taking care of him, nobody was taking care of his family. Family was taking care of Katie and Tuco, and nothing was taking care of the Tato. So we know what's going on. And Tato needs to be taken care of, do the right thing. The lady already has the paperwork, she knows what I'm talking about. We know, Katie, we know people, we know who's taking care of it.
All right, let me look into things.
No more fucking around, man, no more fucking around. This ain't going away, you guys need to do the right thing for Dustin. That's my brother, man. That's my brother, and he needs to be taken care of, his family needs to be taken care of, just like Katie and people have been taken care of.
I've never met these people, but let me call you back, okay?
That's bullshit, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the fuck is going on. This ain't going away. Take care of Taco just like you take care of Katie and Tuka, man.
And the agent's like, who are you? I gave that number to a lady. And he's like, well, I don't know anything about what all this is about, but, and they're trying to resolve it and feel each other out. And kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of interesting. So that's where I left off last night at a very late hour. There were more phone calls. I'm going to try to get through those, and I will bring you the testimony of Charles Adelson. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about him being extorted. One of the things the prosecutor pointed out is in none of these phone calls is Catherine making any demands of Charlie, because his defense is that he is being extorted for money, that he paid over time. He was on payment plans with the extortionists by Catherine. Catherine was extorting money from him for her friend. That's his defense. But it didn't sound like it to me in these phone calls. It really didn't. Anyway, so I started my new diamond painting last night. It's called Lead Me Tonight. It's a violin playing. It's an anime. And I got the corner of her dress done. Isn't that stunning? There's like all these different shades of blue. Like the difference between one blue and the next is so subtle that it just blends so well. And I don't know that I'm going to enhance it. I picked out some enhancements. I mean, I have a few, but I don't even know if I'm going to use them because I just think this is beautiful the way it is. It's really gorgeous. And according to the manufacturer, Diamond Art Club, this is the way the artists want it. They don't want us to enhance their paintings. That's just Diamond Art Club. That's that company. Anyway, I'll do whatever I want. It's my painting now. I own it. Okay. It's going to hang in my house, not a gallery. So, hey. But if you want to talk in code, Diamond Art Club, give me a call. We'll talk in code. All right, guys. I had a clip that I was going to show you, but I don't remember what the clip was. I'll put it in. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. What is it? Thursday? It's Thursday. I don't even know what day of the week it is. Have a great Thursday. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Friday edition of Crafting and Crime Daily. Bye, everybody.